Hey everybody, it's Scientist Renee. Today we're working on lesson 2.4 of Waves, Energy, and Information, Investigating Collisions. For this activity, we're going to watch a video, and then I'm going to do a hands-on experiment where I'm going to use 4 pennies and a nickel. If you have some pennies and a nickel, or if you have a couple different coins around your house, you might want to pause the video and go get those, because then you can join me for the hands-on investigation. So the first thing that we're going to do is look at a model of traveling waves. Now, I'm thinking, what did we read about and observe in the last lesson? And what did we learn about the motion of particles in a material? Well, let's start with the first question. What did we read about? We read about a couple different animals and how they communicated. That a sperm whale used clicks to go through the water and a kangaroo rat used its foot to thump through the ground. What did we observe? We picked one of these particles, we watched it move, it collided into some other particles, and then we watched a sound play, and it seemed like the particles bunched up in a line. It seemed like they hit each other, and that line traveled through. And so what did we learn about motion of particles? We learned that they are constantly colliding. They're always hitting one another. And remember, in chapter 2, we're asking this question, how does the sound energy travel through the water from the mother dolphin to her calf? And so we're about to see a spring toy used to model sound waves. This time, think about the collisions between particles in a wave. We're going to see if we can draw a connection between our spring toy and the particles in a wave. If you have your investigation notebook, you can turn to page 35. If you don't, that's okay too. We're just going to talk about this if you don't have your investigation notebook. So we're going to watch a video in just a second. And I want you to think about, did the parts of the spring toy move all the way from one person to another? And we're going to describe how those parts did move. I'm going to go back to the beginning of this video and press play.
Good.
Let's do that one more time.
Good.
Now to me, that looked a lot like the stuff that we saw in the sim. We saw we saw some energy start, and then we saw it kind of move through the simulator. We can actually look at that really quickly. So it's almost that same thing where the person hit the spring toy and then we saw it move through. So then my question is, did the parts of the spring toy move all the way from one person to another? And how did those parts move? Well, you know, like thinking back, the parts didn't move. It's not like the spring toy jumped from one person's hand to another. If we're going to describe how the parts move, if you have your investigation notebook, you can write down what you think happened in here. If not, maybe you can pause the video and tell somebody what you think. Describe how the parts moved. All right, welcome back. Now, if I'm describing how the parts moved, I'm thinking about that spring toy. The person moved it, and then one part of the spring toy hit another, which hit another, which hit another, which hit another. We'll watch the video one more time to see that happening. Those springs are hitting one another, and that's making it travel down. So it's not the toy itself moving. So based on this model and what we've visualized, how would you describe the motion of particles in a sound wave? You might want to pause again here and tell somebody who's near you, tell somebody in your family, what's going on in a sound wave? All right, welcome back. Now, you might have described this in a little bit of different words than I did, but I would tell somebody that when there's a sound wave, there's energy, and that energy hits a particle, which hits another particle, which hits another particle, which hits another particle, and that is how the particles move in a sound wave. One hits another, hits another, hits another, hits another. And so that brings us to our key concept. Sound energy travels as a wave, those lines that we saw. The particles of the material it travels through move only a little. We didn't see, a sound wave didn't push every particle away. It didn't say, okay, all you particles, you're gonna start here, now you're gonna go away. Instead, the sound traveled through the particles, and those particles only moved a little bit. And so you might have your sound diagram. You probably recognize this. We've got our mother dolphin and our calf. We're going to look back at our diagram and review what we've learned about sound so far. Remember that our diagrams are models. And we talked in the last time, models are great because they help us visualize something that we might not be able to see. And it's important to know that scientists revise, that we change our models a lot. So now that we know a little bit more, let's think about what we can add to our diagrams. So I'm going to go to my diagram, which you saw last time. So I had, the first time I drew this, I had just some lines going from the mother dolphin to the calf. And the next time I added some little pieces, some little particles. Now let's see, I think I'm going to use green this time. I'm going to use maybe a medium thickness. Oh, that's not what I want. We'll just do a pencil. So what I'm going to draw is that these particles are moving and they're hitting into one another. So this particle might hit this particle, which might hit this particle that hits this one, that hits this one. And so the particles themselves, it's not like this particle is flying all the way down here, but this particle might hit this one, which might hit this one, which might hit this one, to this one, to this one, to this one. And I wonder if those particles go all the way, or not the particles, but the collisions might go all the way to the calf. So those are the thoughts I have right now, and that's what I'm adding to my drawing. And so this is a good time to pause the video and add to your own drawing. When you come back, we're going to be doing a hands-on activity with our coins. So if you have some coins you can bring with you, great. I'll see you soon.